This video is sponsored by Miniswap. Alright you lot, welcome back. Yesterday there was the first preview of the new year, the first Warhammer Preview Live of 2026, and over the next few days we're going to go through everything that they showed off, starting with Warhammer 40k. We'll do AOS tomorrow, then we'll do Horus Heresy, then we'll finish off with a Blood Bowl on Tuesday. But for now, we've got some tasty 40k stuff. So, we have Huron Blackheart and the Masters of the Maelstrom. I nearly said Maesters of the Maelstrom, but that's only because those two words are not that far away from each other. Now, of course, we've already seen Huron himself, and we've seen Garyon, the former apothecary, now somewhat psychopathic murderer by the looks of things. But we do also have 5, technically, more characters and some new units to check out as well. So this is going to be exciting. So obviously, we've got Huron. He still somewhat looks like Wallace from Wallace and Gromit, but the rest of it, decent, even if the tactical rock is a little bit boring. Garyon I absolutely loved. I think this is a fantastic model. He looks great. He looks like an absolute nutcase, and I think the overall work they did with having a Red Corsair on the ground, basically grabbing him and being like, no, don't take the gene seed, I'm still good, is fantastic. The thing is, now we also have Catar Garrix, who is an executioner. Literally, he was formerly an executioner, and now he is the executioner for Huron Blackheart. I really like him. I think this is a great looking model. I mean, he is essentially just a firstborn, but I believe scaled up a little bit. The proportions are slightly better. They're more like Horus Heresy Mark III, Mark IV than anything else, which I think works super well. His skull helmet is suitably creepy. I do like the fact that it does seem to mostly just be a skull. Like, I know he's got the tubes coming into the side of the mouth there, and he does have, like, the side sections of a helmet, but that socket, that eye socket that is completely empty, that's just a really nice touch. I think it makes it look super real. The various heads hanging off the armour obviously look great and really hammer home the fact that that axe is used primarily for one thing. Also, great axe. Absolutely, I mean, it is a great axe, but also it is a great axe. The fact that you have a power armour axe head, but on top of something that looks very natural, like there's just a wooden haft with wrapping. That looks like something that could be in fantasy, but in the context of this literal space marine murderer, for some reason there's like a, what's the word, like a juxtaposition there that just works super well. I love the battle damage on the armour. It looks absolutely great. This looks like someone who has been around for a while, and just the aura coming off this guy. Next up, we've got Garlon Soul Eater, which I believe was described as I think it was called a witch in the live stream. I've had to skip through it briefly because I wasn't able to watch it yesterday, and I quite like that description. I mean, to be fair, the word witch is used pretty much interchangeably in the Imperium as just anyone who is a psyker, so the fact that that's been kind of called out, I quite like it. Definitely a bit more in the way of outright chaos iconography going on with this guy, but it looks really cool. I like the staff a lot. The staff is very fun. The skull embedded in that pauldron is also very nice. Plus, the little scraps of parchment pinned all over the robe, it's just top tier. It's just top tier. I really like the helmet, but I couldn't really tell you why. It just looks oddly creepy. And the power pack having that same like skull motif, but with the horns wrapping round like the vent. That's a very cool idea. Whoever came up with that, good work. Good work. I also really love the fact that the robe is off on one side, so it's kind of slipped off the shoulder, or at least been damaged and is hanging down. Little bit of asymmetry there that I just really appreciate. Following on from him, we've got Captain Sargota, which, I mean, I saw someone post a picture of this with, we have Lotara Sarin at home, and whilst I kind of see it, it's also just a very cool sculpt. It just is. She's got a proper pirate peg leg, except it's, you know, a bit more of like a mechanical prosthetic as opposed to just wood. It brings it into the sci-fi setting quite nicely. The sash around the midriff, holding the holster for the gun, is just absolutely, chef's kiss. Love it. The face, I've never seen someone looking more disapproving in this entire like range of models that Games Workshop has done. I think that is the most disapproving expression they have sculpted so far. She looks disgusted to have to even be here, and that is a level of, like, maybe not arrogance, but just superiority, I can fully get behind when it comes to characters like this. Big old captain's coat there with the fur sort of collar looks great. Also the little bird skulls. Maybe a nice little nod there to your traditional look of your pirate captain having a parrot on his shoulder. No parrot, just the skulls of birds. Also, big old cutlass. Like you can see from the shape of the hilt and from the shape of the blade sticking out, that is 100% a cutlass-shaped sword, and I'm absolutely here for it. Her floating, like, command podium is also excellent. I mean, you definitely want to do these in sub-assemblies, right? You want to paint her not stood on that, because otherwise, oh man, you're going to have a bad time, a real bad time. But I think that's a really fun way of making this character a bit more larger than life. You know, she's going to be in a box surrounded by Space Marines and whatever this other thing is, so the fact that they've made her a bit more notable by having that little sort of diorama feel to it, I think that works super well. That's just overall a very, very fun and cool sculpt. I really, really like that. I actually think she might be my favourite so far. Like, between her and Garyon, I think those two are the ones that I'm gravitating to most, and I wasn't expecting to say that about just, you know, a ship captain. Not in the context of Huron's little cabal of freaks and weirdos, you know? Finally, we've got the Enforcer, who is a Terellion bounty hunter. Now, I'll be honest, I've not heard the word Terellion for quite a long time. Like, I don't know the last time that that's come up. So this is a surprise. This is a genuine surprise. She's accompanied by a little doggo there. Apparently the doggo is a juvenile Barghisi, and it chewed off her arm the first time she met it. So, nice to see they're getting along now, I guess. This is just a very fun addition to this little group. Like, I like it when Games Workshop just randomly throw out something very different. Something that is just notably not like anything else. And this is one of those situations where they have just thrown out something that is not like anything else. It looks great. It feels like one of those nice reminders where it's like, okay, yeah, but we know what is in 40k. We know about the various Xenos races, but also some of them just don't get represented on the tabletop. Like, the fact that it's also a game along with it being a fictional setting, it's not really feasible to have an army made out of every little sort of alien species that gets mentioned once or twice here and there. Little additions like this, where it's like, by the way, these exist. They are also here. I just like it. The armour looks great. I like that prosthetic hand that she's got going on. That looks fantastic. The sort of crocodilian mouth. Sort of crocodilian. I guess a bit too short for that. Either way, the teeth, the way they kind of overlap across the lips. Does she have lips? I don't know. Just looks great. Looks absolutely fantastic. The doggo, likewise, is brilliant. I mean, 6 eyes, bat ears, a kind of Rottweilerish mouth. It all combines to make something horrendous. And I feel like they really went to town on sculpting the, like, musculature of that creature. That thing looks absolutely ripped, and it's terrifying. A surprise, these two. A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. Now, along with this announcement, there's also the announcement of a new battleforce, of course. It wouldn't be any sort of release if there wasn't a big box to celebrate, now would it? But before we talk about this box and its contents, it's a new year, and for quite a few of us, that means it's time for a new project, and that is where Miniswap comes in. Miniswap is an online marketplace for miniatures, made by hobbyists for hobbyists. It provides a safe and secure way for you to shift some of that pile of potential or pick up something new, whether that's new to you, new in box, or new on sprue. I didn't mean to do that, but it worked pretty well, so let's just stick with it, shall we? Miniswap is the perfect place to pick up some new to you miniatures. You can filter what you're looking for by faction and sub-faction, whether you want them new in box, new on sprue, partially assembled, fully assembled, or if you're looking for some kit bash potential, bits. Not only that, but you can also specify whether you want them unpainted all the way through to fully painted to a professional standard. It's not just Warhammer 40k either. If you're looking to expand your Age of Sigmar collection or get something for the Horus Heresy, Old World, Necromunda, Kill Team, Lord of the Rings, fantasy, there is an ever-growing catalogue of second-hand miniatures for you to peruse. If you use my link to sign up to Miniswap, you'll get 0% seller commission for the first 90 days after sign-up and free shipping on your first order. Thank you to Miniswap for sponsoring the video. Let's get back to it. So, this is the Lords of the Maelstrom battle force, and you'll note that there's some stuff in there that looks chaosy, but actually kind of isn't. That's because we've got some Red Corsair Raiders, and my initial instant gut feeling is these rule. Like proper renegade traitor space marines that aren't fully chaosified. I love that. I absolutely love it. A lot of this is kind of, it's bringing me back to when Games Workshop did the 13th Company Space Wolves force, and you could buy a box of Grey Hunters that were a mix of Space Wolf and Chaos parts, like just two different sprues from those two kits rammed into one box. This is like a better implementation of that, because in that box, you essentially had like a 50-50 split in some cases, because, you know, the Chaos legs were just both legs. It was the waist down was Chaos, or like the waist up was Chaos. The mix and match that you could do wasn't actually that great without some cutting and chopping and a bit of surgery with your snips or your scalpel and stuff. Scalpel, like hobby knife? Why scalpel? And this is like an evolution of that. It's that, but it's been done better because it's actually been sculpted that way. And just in case you're wondering, yes, I do still think about the fact that Games Workshop brought out the 13th Company Space Wolf stuff in the Codex Eye of Terror and then got rid of it and made it not a thing or a playable thing again. I do still think about that. Hey, look, it's only been, I think, over 20 years. Alright? I can't help it. I really liked it, and then it went away, and it made me sad. Anyway, these remind me of that, but in a better way. Like, oh, the different marks of armour. I mean, for a start, right there, I feel like we've got an older style Mark III power pack going on with that guy. That's really, really fun. That segmented leg armour on the guy with the Mark III power pack, is that Mark II? I can't remember what that's from, but it's older than some of the other stuff on that model. This mix of having some trim but some not, the like breastplates being different from one guy to the next, there being different power packs from one guy to the next. Oh man, I love this. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to say something that is wildly out of pocket for me. That, the guy with the bionic arm there, that is a bare head that I would actually use. Now, it may be it's because they've painted it in a really cool way with that red stripe across the eyes. I feel like that sculpt is absolutely great. That's not to say that these are bad. They do look decent, but for some reason, that bald guy, well, not quite bald, that guy who's mostly bald, just a little tuft on top, with that stripe across the eyes, that is just jumping out as being really, really nicely done. Again, it feels like there's a really nice and fun mix of different marks of armour. We've got a different power pack going on there as well. Also, power packs with the cloth, like, stretched over the top of it. I don't know why. That's become a bit of an obsession recently, but I couldn't really tell you why. I just think it looks neat. The more I'm looking at these, the more I'm like, yes, they do have Red Corsair pauldrons. They do. They're undeniably Red Corsair. But if you want to make yourself a Renegade Space Marine chapter, and you have access to either a 3D printer, or you know someone who can 3D print, or you're just happy to go onto like Etsy or whatever and buy some bits, or you've just got a big bits box. Like, these are perfect. These are like actual proper Renegade Space Marines. They're not completely covered in chaos iconography. They are filling a niche that has existed for ages, that I don't think has ever really been properly served in this manner. Like, if you wanted to do Renegades and you wanted to mix different armor marks, obviously you could, because there's a bunch of different marks of power armor out there, there's a bunch of different kits that you can kit bash and stuff. It's something that's always been open to people who want to do that and are prepared to do that. If, however, you don't want to approach that side of the hobby, which some people don't, and, you know, fair enough, this is now, I think, the entry point for, well, I want to do Space Marines. I don't want to do Chaos. I don't want to do Loyalist. Where am I at? How do I represent that in a way that doesn't mean chopping a bunch of stuff together? I mean, you buy this. You just buy this kit, and you're done. Really, really like them. Really like them. I mean, oh, yeah. That's just... Every time I'm looking, I'm just thinking to myself, I want these. And not just for the fun of painting them. Like, I'm having ideas. I'm having ideas for actual armies from this, which... I don't get that as much anymore. I like sort of one-off painting projects and little fun small display forces and stuff. But it's been a while since I've sat there and gone, you know what, I actually just want to make a full force and use them. It's nice. It's a nice feeling to get. Actually, to be fair, I say that. I do also have the same thing with the like, massive, stupid, idiot Mega Gargant stuff, like the Cosmic Horror Mega Gargants. But to be fair, those are giant monstrosities, and you only need 4 of them, and as such, it doesn't feel, weirdly, like as much of a commitment as making an army with a bunch of smaller models. It, for some reason, feels like it's easier, which, honestly, I don't think is true. I think I've gaslit myself into feeling that way, because otherwise I'd never paint them, because I'd look at them and go, this is intimidating, I made this, and now I don't want to touch it. But somehow I managed to get over that. But when it comes to painting lots of infantry, I've never found that enjoyable. But with these, I'm getting that sort of... I'm getting the urge, you know? I'm getting the urge. Overall, super, super solid little group of lads, this. Look fantastic. Oh, the Beaky there. The Beaky with the covered power pack and the like, bonds, the whatever they're called. The studs on the pauldron. Oh, yes. Oh, it's just so good. The guy throwing the smoke grenade is also cool. And yes, as they say, a whole new plastic kit, and love it. Love it. No demons, no mutations, hardly any spikes. It's just treachery. Treachery all the way down. We also have the Reave-Captain, who has, I think, one of the most smug prick faces we've seen on any Games Workshop miniature for quite some time. Like, that guy is the smuggest of pricks, and it's great. Again, I feel like that's a really well-sculpted head, too. I don't know what's going on with the Red Corsairs stuff, but there's been a couple of heads in this like, reveal that have just stood out as being, like, a bit of a cut above. The cloak looks fantastic. I really like the style of power sword there. Also, the plasma pistol having a small dagger-like bayonet is pretty funny. Is it technically a bayonet? Is a bayonet just any blade sticking out from under the barrel of a gun? I don't know. Again, there's not a huge amount of overt chaos stuff going on with him, excluding the optional power pack where there's a big chaos icon. I saw it, you don't need to say anything. I started saying it, and I knew I had to get in there quick. Obviously, that is very chaos, but the fact that there's an option without that is quite nice. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times where we get in this particular pose, it feels like quite a lot, especially recently, or maybe it's been going on for years and years and it's just sort of built up to the point where now I just can't stop seeing it. To be absolutely fair, whilst it's not my favourite, I don't know what I would do differently to confer a bit of extra height, a bit of extra detail, something to make it stand out a bit more. Like battlefield specific rubble is fun and cool until you then play it on a tabletop where it's not themed after that, which I can see why people don't like that. And to be fair, sometimes I'm not a fan of that either. When it comes to having guys stood on certain things, like say if your guy is stood on the body of a Space Marine, again, that's really fun and I really like it. But like more in a display setting, if you're using the model and you're fighting Eldar, it feels weird to have you guy surfing a Space Marine around. It's like the immersion side of things. I don't know how you get around it. Like, I don't actually have any good ideas for this. So in some ways, it feels like I shouldn't constantly pull them up on it. But at the same time, if you've seen it once, it feels like you've seen it 1,000 times, or at least that's where I'm at now. But I just don't know what you would do instead. Yeah, I don't know. That's not really a satisfying conclusion to any of that, but it is true. So there's that, I guess. I don't know. I really like this model. I think it looks fantastic. The armour's great. The cloak is great. I love the fur across the pauldron. And yeah, that big old belt going around the midriff looks awesome as well. Your ultimate build there with the massive chaos symbol is kind of cool. It is. I think personally I wouldn't use that part on this model because I would want to maintain the more like renegade side of things than the full chaos side of things. But I would absolutely use it on a proper full-on Chaos Lord or something, 100%. It's very, very cool. It's just not what I'd do with it personally, you know? Also, minor detail, but the wrap around the top of the leg there, love it. Absolutely love it. And I think on that old, on that bandolier of trophies right there, bit of fleur-de-lis, a bit of Sisters of Battle murder gone on. Nice. That sort of sounds like I'm advocating for that, which is not the case, but you know. So the Red Corsairs and the Reave-Captain are both part of that box, but there's also Chaos Space Marines in the box as well, along with a Red Corsairs upgrade sprue. I mean, these are your traditional classic Chaos Space Marines available at the moment, but as you can see, they've all got those Red Corsair pauldrons and also Chaos Terminators with pauldrons as well. Nice. Fun. I like it. This is going to sound weird and possibly silly, but I think the main reason I wouldn't get this box is because I would just want more of the Red Corsair specific squad. The ideas I'm having off this don't really have space for Chaos Space Marines in them, or at least fully, like, you can see their Chaos Space Marines from a mile away, Chaos Space Marines, if that makes sense. But then since a lot of the ideas that I'm having from looking at this stuff is not anything to do with making them Red Corsairs, it's just using the Red Corsair stuff to make some, like, renegades. It doesn't really matter, does it? So upgrades wise, there's a bunch of different heads. You got different pauldrons for your normal lads and your terminators, some fun trophies, a couple of chainswords, and a transfer sheet or two. The thing is, it's not just the Red Corsairs. It's not just them. There's also some Aeldari Corsairs as well. It's Corsairs all the way down, so we'll take a look at this lot as well. Obviously, a bit more big box action with the Eldritch Raiders battleforce, and you can immediately see a few tasty new things in there, which is nice. First up is Prince Yriel, and I have already seen so many memes that seem to be Yu-Gi-Oh related. The big old shield thing on the forearm there. So many pictures, so many. Now, I do like Yriel. I think he looks really, really good, but there are certain parts of his model that kind of just look like they took the Archon, I think it is? No, not the Archon. What's it called? The Vizarch. The Vizarch. Okay, let me just grab the Vizarch quickly. There we go. So there's a couple of things that just really match up a little too well, but then again, I don't know if it's actually necessarily a problem. So Yriel, you've got these very fancy greaves across the legs there. You've got the face and the knee. You've got the filigree as well. And it is very, very similar, borderline the same as the Vizarch. Now, not all the way up, but a lot of the decoration is extremely, extremely similar. Now, obviously, they're both Eldar, or Eldari, so it does make sense for there to be some similarities, but something that I distinctly remember thinking when we first saw the Vizarch was, oh, that armor's really neat, that's really cool, I like it a lot. And then seeing something that seemed, at least on the surface, or at least like initial inspection, to be pretty much the same thing. I don't know, it just surprised me a little bit. We're not going to talk about the pose or the base because that would just be a repeat of what we said about 5 minutes ago, so there's no point. But with that being said about certain parts of the armour, because it's not just the leg, it's also the hands as well, the helmet is super, super similar too. I think overall, this looks really good. I do quite enjoy the back banner. Back banners seem to be making quite the resurgence over at Games Workshop, which I'm not mad about. They've grown on me a lot. The spear looks absolutely fantastic. I do like the Yu-Gi-Oh deck. The pauldron over the top of it looks fantastic as well. The hair is glorious, obviously. Now, with these alternate angles, when we take a look at the gauntlet and the helmet, again, the similarities they just really jump out at me. The gauntlet looks pretty much exactly the same, and the helmet is not that different either. It kind of feels like with both, it might have been the same file and went through some adjustments, which sounds super uncharitable, but it just really reminded me of the Vizarch. It just did. That being said, the Vizarch is an incredible model, and so is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know that I think that it is. That was just where my brain went upon seeing Yriel for the first time, you know? But yeah, he looks light in his feet, the coat is brilliant, absolutely love that. The way they've done the cloth is so, so nice. The sash and the belt around the waist look fantastic. The overall kind of attitude of the model is just really, really nicely done. Definite big thumbs up from me. Now, alongside the big man himself, we've also got these new Skyreavers as well. I really like the weapons. The weapons look great. Very fun, very cool. The posing, they are all doing the either hovering next to, on, or jumping off of, or landing on scenery thing, but the alternative is, you know, flying stands and no. So, all good. The wings I quite like. For some reason, I feel like there should be a longer bit at the top as well. I couldn't really tell you why that is. I don't know that I've got a good justification for feeling like that, but I mean, when it comes to subjective taste of miniatures, is there a good justification for anything? Can I even say justification for a third time? I like them. The armour looks nice. The legs are very reminiscent of Yriel, which looks decent. They do feel slightly lighter overall, which is cool. I like the mix of heads and helmets, but especially the way they've got these half helms going over the mouths. That's very nice. I think there's a good variety of poses and stuff. Although having said that, I've just looked to the right here and there is a very similar, if not the same one, right next to it. So, it's fine. They look decent. Repeated poses are all over the shop, let's be honest. The different bits of personalisation and customisation on the armour, I think, work super well. They just all round look like a nice, light, quite like deft squad, and little nods to the sort of piratical nature are quite fun. Like, you've got that headband on that guy, you've got the feathers off the shoulder of her there. Like, oh, I think they've done a really good job with them. I think they've done a really good job. They're very fun, they look very dynamic, and they all look like they are their own person. There is like distinct and different personality across the board, which for a unit like this and for a force like this, I think is really important. And they've done a really good job with it overall, I think. There's also Karseth the Void Dreamer, which is a solid miniature and an excellent name. The staff looks great. The helmet is so good. It's so good. I love the split in the middle. Like, I think with a lot of the Eldar, like, Farseer, Warlock style things, you've got this single, like, blank faceplate. There's something insectoid about this one, which works super well. It just looks very cool, very different, very creepy. And if you've got someone called Void Dreamer, I feel like having an element of that creepiness is, I mean, it's the way to go, right? The cloth looks so nice. Admittedly, whoever painted this did an insane job. I think even by the standards of the rest of these reveals, there is something about the cloth on this model that just looks real. Like, they've nailed it. They've nailed those, like, bluey, turquoisey sections. The in-action pose is very fun. We've got some tactical rubble. The layering of the cloth on here as well, by the way, really like that. The cloak on top of the robe, but it kind of sweeping out. Oh, it looks so good. Especially when you've got those kind of longer decorative ribbons that are also caught with it. This is very, very nice. This is a very nice miniature. This is I'm not planning to pick up any of these except for this, and it's just to paint it. And even then, I may find myself getting upset painting it, because there's no way I'm going to do as good a job on the cloth as they have there. But I'm going to give it a go, because, oh, it looks fun. It looks so fun. Now, a definite surprise is a new Vyper and a Starfang. Like, the Vyper is what, 2nd edition? I think that's when that kit came out. It was a long, long time ago. And now it's being updated. It's being brought into current year, which, honestly, I'm surprised that they've done it, because that's one of those kits that felt like it was just going to be how it was forever and ever until the end of time. I will also argue as well that the Vyper as it stands, it's aged pretty decently. Like, for my money, that's not bad. It's not, like, necessarily up to today's standards, but if anything, I think it may have been ahead of its time. Really what lets it down is the detail on the infantry that are, like, I suppose they're not infantry technically if they're riding on the thing, but you know what I mean. The guy in the gunner's seat is what makes it look more dated. The overall profile is fine. Like, the overall profile looks okay. Yeah, it could be a bit crisper, it could be a little bit cleaner, but for when this was made, I feel like it's aged pretty damn well. And to be fair, like, the main sort of hull section of it is pretty much the same. They've not changed that much. The proportions are maybe a little bit better. They've increased the size of the wings a bit, but that is recognisably a Vyper. Giving it an enclosed gunner's position, I do like that change. I think it makes it look sleek, and I think it makes it look a bit more purposeful. But overall, they've not strayed that far. I would argue that this is a decent update. It's also one of those updates that's been so long coming that you can see just how far things have moved on in terms of the amount of detail, the sort of crispness and sharpness of edges that they can achieve now compared to however many years ago this first came out. Like, the design philosophy has stayed very consistent throughout the years. It's just how how cleanly it can be represented, and yeah, you can really see it there. The side profile is quite fun. It does feel a little bit weird, that big gap between the main vehicle and like the gunner's seat in the back there, but I don't know, I still like it. I still like it. It still feels sleek, you know? Still feels sleek, still feels fast, and that's sort of what you want from your Eldar vehicles, right? Now, there's also the Starfang, which is not dissimilar, but it seems to have the gunner's position facing the rear, but loaded with Drukhari weapons. So that's very fun. I like that a lot. I do think this is quite a bit more sleek, and I do like the overall shape a bit more. Also, it kind of really indicates a difference in terms of how they're fighting, because it feels like the Starfang is a case of shooting over the enemy and raining fire as they're retreating, as opposed to the Vyper, which feels like it's obviously, you know, shooting on approach. That's a nice little shift, and I like the way they've done that. That big box also contains some of the Void Scarred that were already available, so, you know, they're in there to pad out the numbers a little bit, but to be fair, they still look fantastic, so not that different to the Red Corsairs box, given that they also have, you know, Chaos Terminators and Chaos Space Marines in there as well. It still doesn't end there either, by the way, because there's also teasers. Those little cheeky teasers. See, they did the 40k stuff, and then right at the end of the stream, they showed a little trailer, which seemed to have some hazard stripes and, well, just a flat-out Iron Warriors iconography, which is exciting. So I can literally see my my really badly painted Iron Warriors Chaos Lord that's on the shelf up there. The first model I painted, absolute garbage. So this is making me excited already. Let's scroll through a little bit. Alright, I had to remove the related articles thing from the side there because it was getting on my nerves. So we've got a big claw, a very big claw. We also have some sort of flamer stuff there. Also, it's not obvious. Oh, no, you can sort of see what looks like cataphractii shoulders there on the big claw. Can definitely see cataphractii shoulders on that. So that's fun. That's interesting. We've got a big hammer. A very big hammer. We also have an Iron Warriors pauldron. Sort of gives it away, but that's totally fine. Interestingly, now I'm trying to work out there. They've done a lot of the old eraser tool in Photoshop to get rid of a lot of the extra detail, but I'm trying to work out what scale that is. It looks probably normal Space Marine scale. Above the pauldron is really throwing me because I can't quite make out what's going on with the head. The head looks really odd. There's definitely a lens on there, but it's hard to see what it's attached to. Also, we can see some cabling on one side as well. They're facing, by the look of things, they are facing left, like screen left, because you can see a bit of like armor over the elbow there. But I can't see what's going on with the power pack, except that maybe the power pack is extended a bit further out from the back of it. Oh, I want to see more. Bunch of exhausts, and that claw. I mean, that's a new defiler, isn't it? I mean, it's a new defiler, which I'm all on board for, because I've been saying for God knows how long that the defiler probably needs a bit of an upgrade. But that claw, if it's not a defiler, and they're showing us that, I will be absolutely disgusted. Also, you can see one of the legs behind it. So actually, I'd say that. I mean, if it isn't, a hell of a misdirect, because what else would you think that's going to be? But yeah, I mean, that seems pretty cut and dry. We're getting a new defiler, which is nice. That is also interesting. That mutilator, you've got a big rounded shoulder thing there, big rounded pauldron. I was trying to work out whether it was the pauldron or whether it was the elbow, but I think it is the pauldron. A big old claw, but with mismatched parts. You've got a bit of flesh in there, so mutilator makes the most sense, doesn't it? Which is interesting, because I feel like obliterators more sort of... Mind you, I was going to say obliterators more closely tied with Iron Warriors than mutilators were, but I am basing that off playing Iron Warriors in 3rd edition with the 3.5 codex, where you could... It had no limit on obliterators. So everyone else, Obliterators was 0 to 1, but Iron Warriors removed that restriction because they had such a close relationship with Obliterators, which is so out of date when it comes to how the game works and presumably what the lore is, that why I still remember that. I don't need that. I could be remembering far more important things, but no, I can remember that. Why? Anyway, big old clawfoot, metal clawfoot. Now, that is probably, again, mutilators. It could also... I mean, the Obliterators are still on the same sprue as the Venom Crawler, right? Would they update Obliterators again, though? And make them a multi-part kit with mutilators? It kind of makes sense. But also, they've already updated them not that long ago, so would they bother? I don't know. That's a tricky one. Well, having said that, Marnius Calgar had a model not that long ago in Gravis armour, and then he got turned back into a Terminator. So, really, anything's possible. But yeah, would they tease old Purty? Would they tease him with a foot shot? It's possible. Is it likely, though? I don't know. That one, presumably, is something big and hefty. Or maybe Hellbrute? Maybe an updated Hellbrute? The Hellbrute's looking a bit dated now. The Hellbrute's looking a little bit dated. Not massively, but it is a bit squat and a bit small. Especially now that Redemptor's around. Oh, God. There's some fun stuff in here. There's some fun stuff. Yes, that is a big hammer. I don't know whether that is just going to be like some sort of upgrade thing. Oh, mind you, Warsmith. More likely to be Warsmith, right? I mean, I have a Warsmith on the shelf over here, not painted, because I never got round to it because I was bad at it. But looking at it, I don't know why I didn't think Warsmith straight away, actually, because just because the old Warsmith was in power armor doesn't mean they're going to make the new Warsmith in power armor. It's incredibly likely, in fact, that they would upgrade him to be a big Terminator-style lad. Because then you'd have... Because is that what they did? That's what they did for Horus Heresy, right? Didn't they upgrade the Iron Warriors Warsmith to be Terminator in that? So it being Terminator in this, that would make sense, right? So probably first 3, because it looks like we've got Cataphractic Shoulders, but we've got the Big Claw... We've got a weapon, we've got a hammer. Those first 3, most likely, Warsmith. That pauldron there. That pauldron there could well just be a pack, like an upgrade pack for Iron Warriors. So you can theme your whole thing around it. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Then Defiler, Mutilator... and either more Mutilator or potentially new Hellbrute? Maybe? That's whether they would upgrade the Hellbrute. Or, maybe the left field choice is the big man himself, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. Anyway, that's a whole lot of speculation, but then what else are we supposed to do? Because that was the whole point of the teaser. That's what was shown off for Warhammer 40k. So, overall... there's some fun stuff in there. Like I say, we're going to cover everything else eventually. We'll do Age of Sigmar tomorrow, and then Horus Heresy and Blood Bowl. So we'll be doing these through till Tuesday. And if there's any other reveals that show up in the meantime, there'll be an extra video to enjoy. So there'll be that. Thank you once again to Miniswap for sponsoring the video. Again, check them out using the link in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of all of that in the comments, and I will see you for the next one.